Ever wondered what snowboarding in Hakuba is really like? From mad shuttle driver chaos to powder perfection, we've got it all. Let's go. So we arrived in Hakuba via train, via bus,
and bullet train.
This is the Jen and Sean show, finally getting to our destination of a week in the snow in Hakuba. It's pretty awesome.
It was amazing.
We arrived in this, essentially this snow haven, and landing there was just phenomenal. Snow everywhere, deep as I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
Blue sky, sunshine.
Beautiful.
It was just absolutely picture perfect. We're getting there we've covered it in a couple of other videos,
yeah.
But what we're going to break you through is a little bit about getting there, how you get around, how you do shuttle buses, looking at lodging, going through, the choices of where you should stay, getting around Hakuba itself as well. And then hitting the slopes. And ultimately, we'll talk about some of the food scenes that we did, supermarket, konbini, restaurants, all this really cool stuff that's there to explore. So let's have a look at our first impressions of actually getting there. Once we arrive by our fabulous coach, which drove pretty efficiently through the snow from Nagano train station, what was your breakdown of the coach?
Breakdown of the coach? Coach didn't break down, so that was great. Coach was amazing. They're very, very comfortable. It's, what we would consider luxury coach travel where we're from, but it's pretty standard over there. So they do it very well.
Yeah, absolutely.
They do it very well.
When we landed in Hakuba itself, you can get around fairly easily by a lot of the usual sort of transport options, can't you?
You can. They've got taxis. They've got their own shuttle buses and things like that. I think the Uber app, from what I've heard now over there, is you can actually get onto the Uber app and that will call a taxi, because I know that there can be challenges calling a cab, particularly if you're not fluent in Japanese. There can be issues with that. So, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. But then you can also, a lot of the lodges will offer to pick you up depending on what time of day you arrive, that sort of thing, which we were able to take advantage of. So that was great.
Yeah. So put a call in to your lodge host. They're usually pretty accommodating and they'll sometimes pick you up. Options to get a taxi, looking from the funds perspective, that's a little bit expensive. They're in demand as well. But if you can snavel one, sure, they'll get you where you need to go. Also, language barrier isn't really an issue there either, as everybody kind of knows a little bit of English as well, so you can get through. So, yeah, that's us landing. So once we got picked up by our lodge owner, we arrived at our first lodge of our trip. We stayed in 2 lodges overall, and the first one was a Black Pine. Take us through Black Pine.
Black Pine's awesome. It's a traditional style lodge. I don't actually know how old it is. I probably should look that up. I can look that up and we'll stick that in somewhere. It's fairly close to everything. It's sort of right in the middle of the main centre of Hakuba and the supermarket, train station, everything down the other end. So very, very central. Extremely cosy, really, really nice environment. It's not 5-star fancy, but that's not really what from my perspective, it's not what you're looking for when you're going on a snow trip for a week. So it's really, really lovely.
Yeah. Again, when you say traditional, the rooms itself were Western style, Western style beds, pretty roomy, enough to stash all your stuff there as well. It didn't have any en suites, so it was shared facilities.
I think some of the rooms do, but the one that we had didn't.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So traditional in a way that a lodge. You know, it's open, it's got shared facilities, shared kitchen, shared lounge room, that sort of stuff. Super cozy, really welcoming, and yeah, it was really our probably no-brainer choice. Jen, you've been there a couple of times before.
Yep.
So yeah, highly recommend that. So halfway through our trip up there, we relocated to another lodge, mainly because the accommodation wasn't available at Black Pine throughout the full trip.
We have to switch accommodation today. So we've done 3 nights here at Black Pine, and today we're going over to Alpine Wind. We've just packed up all of our stuff this morning, and then we're going to go for a ride, and then we'll come back and grab it all. So one suitcase is downstairs, which is Barry.
The bastard.
Barry's a bastard. That's our broken suitcase. And the rest we have here. Slightly more than what we started with these 2 bags here. One has souvenirs, one has snacks. Winning the day.
So we went off to Alpine Wind. What can you tell me about Alpine Wind?
Alpine Wind was pretty impressive. We found that last year, I think, just on booking.com. Probably the most impressive thing about Alpine Wind is the private onsen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that was a big draw card for that one. But again,
Very well. Oh, here a gem. Into the inner sanctum. Oh, it's already warmer. So this is where we came into the onsen, but I just want to show you what else is actually in here. Reminder, this is a mixed onsen, male and female, but I'm assuming most of these would have this. So anyway, we came in through there, kerosene heater, so it's nice and toasty. Very, very warm. What you can see here underfoot is like panelled tatami, probably bamboo, I'm going to say. There's a toilet, there's one. So you want to do that before you go anywhere else. There's the stool. Very comfortable. This is where you put all your belongings, your clothes, pretty much everything. All you're going to take in here is maybe one of these to put on your head or to wash yourself. Through here, well, there's a scale. It lies in a good way. What we've got over here is no light, but you can see some sinks. There's a dryer, a bin, and so forth. And through here, maybe through here, it's the onsen itself. Here we go, into the onsen itself. Not outside. So here is where we wash ourselves before we get in the onsen. Oh, look at that. Getting in the snow. I'm sure this is like a tradition somewhere.
it's very close to Echoland, which is kind of the other end of town. There's a lot of bars and restaurants and everything up there. They kind of call that, well, Australia Mark II, because the place is generally full of Australians on holidays.
It's absolutely overrun.
Yeah.
If you're from Australia and New Zealand, you're going to probably run into your mum or your second cousin. It's that busy.
Yep, everybody's there. So,
one of the tips for choosing a place to stay is really trying to find I think a lodge that's on the shuttle route.
Definitely. Yeah.
I mean, getting up in the morning and having just the ability to wander down to where the free shuttles will pick you up to drop you off at the lift point is just invaluable. Others, you probably have to walk a little bit. The most we had to walk was really probably 5 minutes for the shuttle bus.
Yeah.
Other considerations is getting close to the supermarkets or the super, the combinis, and the laundromat as well. So if you're packing light, which you should, take advantage of the laundromats.
Definitely.
Because they're brilliant, and you can essentially just, keep recycling everything and you won't smell Scody, which is really good. One of the interesting things of getting around Hakuba, we touched on it before, Ubers, taxis. Hakuba also has not coaches as such, but kind of like metro buses.
They're mini buses.
They're mini buses, but they're also
they're like school mini buses.
but also the big buses.
The big ones, the Alpicos. Yeah, sorry, they do have those.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what are they about?
So that's more. There's two different, from what I understand, modes of shuttle there. So you've got the shuttle buses that run between most of the major resorts. Now, if you have an Epic Pass, you don't have to pay to get on the shuttle buses. They'll just run you between your designated drop-off points near your hotels and the ski resorts. Then you've got the bigger ones, which, again, if you've got the Epic Pass are free, but if you don't, you can still pay to get on those. But they will go out to Tsugaiki and Iwataki and the bigger resorts and take more people out there as well. And they're just like a coach again. But, yeah, for ski travel.
Yeah, and with the Epic Pass, you don't have to pay for them.
No.
They're a great secondary option for getting around the entire area. When we went there, which is kind of peak, I suppose, in February, there were a lot of people because, as you can see from the video, if you're watching that, snow was incredible this year. It was a real bounty of snow all the way through. Yeah. The I suppose popularity of the area seems to be growing and growing and growing. So that means that there's going to be queues, there's going to be lines, but the area seems to accommodate for that.
They do it very well. They're very organised with it. Yeah.
So they get, I think, extra shuttle buses on as well for the busy times, and they'll actually just divert. If you talk to them and say, oh, I need to get to here, they'll actually just pivot and take you right across. So, yeah, it's pretty epic like that. Once you've worked out how you're getting around on the shuttle buses or your Epico, was it?
Alpico, I think.
Alpico. I'll call it Epico because I like renaming everything.
You like renaming things, yeah.
Yeah. You get to the bottom of your slope of choice. Now, we understand that some people love to get there for first lifts. We're not really those people.
We're not those people, no.
We typically like a bit of a sleep in after having too many wines,
Strong zeros
the night before. So we generally rock up probably and get the second shuttle for the day.
We were usually on about the 9 o'clock, I think, weren't we? The 8 or the 9, yeah.
Yeah, the 8 or the 9.
Yeah.
Still busy, but we just sort of roll up to the slopes and everything's in full swing. Look, the conditions when we were there was amazing. The snow depth itself was just insane. The comparison to Australia is...
There is no comparison.
Thanks. That pretty much does it.
Particularly in the last couple of seasons, there's no comparison.
No. There's essentially 5 resorts, I think, or 5 resort mountains.
5 main ones. I think there's a few more scattered around too.
Yeah, so they're all not squished, but they're all in a central area within probably half an hour of Hakuba. So that means that you can go to any one of 5 resorts, and if the one is crowded or if there's a little bit of cloud cover at one, then you're likely to be able to pivot off onto another one and there'll be less crowds or the conditions will be better. Really, no matter what it is that you're actually encountering, which is absolutely amazing. The length of the season itself in Hakuba stretches from pretty much October all the way through to probably April, but it's May now and they're still getting snow. Even though it officially closes, I think, at the end of this week, which is the end of or middle of May. So you can imagine the sort of snow depth that we're talking about over there. The conditions itself for snowboarding, which we did, was amazing.
Yeah, brilliant.
We were able to find all sorts of different slopes, again, not crowded. We were able to take our time, go fast, go slow, go together, split up, tackle some really interesting runs and actual, double black diamonds, which is your expert runs as well.
Who knew?
So overall, it was just a really good vibe on the mountain as well, don't you think?
Yeah, it was. It's great.
So everyone's there to really have a good time. Again, it was just open season because everyone was just enjoying the snow so much. So ultimately, it's probably the best place I've ever been to. And because the snow was so amazing this time around, I just can't see myself going anywhere else. So do yourself a favour and get on board.
Thanks, Molly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now we're going to talk about the food scene, the supermarkets, the restaurants, the convenies. After a time on the slope, look, you're going to want to eat and eat big sometimes.
You're spoiled for choice,
nice.
though. I think the only problem is going to be whether some places are actually booked out and you can't get in there. But we didn't really have that this time.
No.
Everywhere that we went, we were able to get in pretty easily. And I don't think we made any reservations, actually.
Not at all. It came down to the fact that there were probably a party of two. They have had issues where large groups have made bookings and they're not turned up. So a lot of the restaurants will actually be booked out, and that means that you can't, get into your favourite. But typically what you'll do is you rock up and they'll put you in a holding pen, feed you some beers.
That one, yeah, I can't think of the name of that one that we had the really good ramen at. I think we were there for about 40 minutes, but they had a little outdoor area set up with, barrel fires and stuff in there, and you can go in and get your drinks and come back out and sit down and wait, and everyone was having a chat and having a laugh, and when your number gets called, it's like a big woohoo moment when you finally get inside, but it was definitely worth the wait. That was an amazing meal.
It was really good because, again, the atmosphere was really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everyone was in the same boat and quite happy about just making new friends in conversation as well,
and
which
all
was
putting
really
shit
cool.
on each other from depending on where they were all from in Australia, because that's pretty much everyone that was there was an Australian.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We went across some old favourite restaurants that we did as well. One of them was a really traditional local restaurant called .com. He has his restaurant essentially amongst his library of 7,000 manga books.
So we're at a place called .com, and he has 20,000, would they be manga?
Yep.
Manga books here, which is basically comic books. But I mean, look at this. They're just everywhere.
And you can pick them up and read.
And you can pick them up and read them while you're having dinner. Amazing.
Doesn't speak
thought
a
it was
lick of
more than
English.
that.
Could be.
I thought it was a lot more than that. I thought it was like 20,000.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, we might have to put up an asterisk to tell you exactly the number.
There was a lot there
But
because it was all upstairs as well.
yeah. But really, I think it ended up being about, I don't know, probably $10 or $12 per person for a 3 or 4 course meal.
Yeah.
And that was with drinks as well on top of that.
And huge meals. Huge meals. And really, really tasty. Yep.
The other side of that, you can go to some of the, I suppose, fancied restaurants, pay a bit more, get equally amazing food, but again, they're going to be a bit more popular. But you can really just spread it all out. One of the favourite things that we tested out this time is by going to the supermarket and grabbing a whole bunch of stuff that we took back to the lodge and basically put it in the dinger.
Put it in the dinger, and we were done. It was great.
So you can definitely save a lot of money by going to the supermarket. If you do go to the combini, which is typically a go-to in the major cities, yes, they're there. Yes, you can get your alcohol from there as well, but they're traditionally more expensive than the supermarket. And they're pretty popular, so they do sell out as well pretty quickly.
Well, Hakuba's got 2 quite big supermarkets there as well. You've got one up either end of town, so that's always your best bet. And the one where the laundry has got a lot of smaller pre-packaged, bento style dinner things all set up and ready to go. There's sushi and all they're big on their croquettes.
Oh yeah,
They love
we had
their
lots of
croquettes.
those.
Yeah,
actually,
we
didn't
did.
we?
But it's all, and towards the end of the day, they start discounting everything as well. So you can get a bit of a bargain there.
Yeah.
Bit of a bargain.
Yeah, they do actually put them all out, discounted bench, so to speak, to get all your good eats. So that was really, really good. The other option when you're on the slopes is, well, what are you going to do for lunch? Because ultimately you need to stop and refuel as well. And Hakuba has you covered in spades. My favourite was at the bottom of one particular run where you didn't have to unboot, unstrap at all. You just ski all the way down into the car park. And he had a soba noodle bar, beers ready to go. And because we liked him so much, we went back on multiple days and I was able to ski all the way down there and he'd just go, beer? And he was like, Yep.
Had a little table set up with the chairs, and he brought us out a couple little bickies at one point, and yeah, he was great.
It was really, really good. You can get coffee in a bit of a cardboard bag
fold out
sort
cup
of thing.
It was very weird.
Yeah.
So we've just had a magic day on the slopes and had a couple of beers along the way, and now we're finished for the day. And tonight we'll probably have a few more. In fact, we are having now. But we thought we'd try out this, which is a not necessarily anti-hangover drink, but something akin to that, where if you have it, you don't feel as seedy the next day. So I've been hunting these down. So we're going to try them out. So twist top cap. It's got a picture of a root on it. That's all I can pick out. So smells like medicine.
Oh.
So here we go. Yeah, it tastes a bit like medicine mixed with a Red Bull.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
let's see.
let's see how we go. Giddy up.
So a few tips and tricks on what we do differently. What would you do differently next time, Jen?
Well, what we've already done this time is actually book further ahead so that you can get your accommodation in one place in one block. So
We don't want to be
no, that
picking
was,
up, packing, and moving to another place
that was a bit of an
halfway through.
inconvenience. So we've actually locked in next year's week
At Black
already
Pine,
at Black Pine. We've already done that, so that one's ticked off and ready to go. There's probably a lot of, I thought I packed pretty light this time, but there was still stuff that I had with me that we didn't need.
no.
So that would be another consideration for the next one.
I think, again, we're going at the best time for us, which is still February. One of the things is checking the discounts you can get on your ski tickets for multiple hills. You can sometimes buy it in a group of days and you can save there. If you're not big on taking your own gear over there, I think you could probably save yourself quite a hassle of actually doing the high gear. But when it's busy, you could actually miss out.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of a double-edged sword there. So whether you should hire gear or not really depends on how busy it is over there, ultimately.
Personal preference too. Yeah. There's a lot of ski hire places.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of going, well, okay, which ones are going to be the best option, and location, proximity to where you're staying as well. Like Rhythm offer a pick up and drop off service where they will actually come and pick you up from your lodgings, take you back to there, get you fitted, and then drop everything back for you. And then they also, when you check out, they will come and pick the gear up from the lodge after you've gone. So you don't have to worry about taking it back. They just go and pick it all up.
Such good service.
Yeah.
Such good service.
Yeah.
Look, we love it. And, final thoughts on Hakuba is, well, will we go back? Duh.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. We can't get enough of the place, and we're just meeting new people over there. You met a random that was somebody that you knew from 20 odd years ago,
25 years ago we used to work together. Yeah.
and he just randomly popped up on your feed and
Just had a
said he
thing
was in
that he's just
Hakuba.
arrived in Hakuba. I was like, wow, okay. So
Yeah.
we caught up on the other side of the world and had a couple of drinks. It was great.
Absolutely.
And they actually liked it so much. I think they came home and been back about 2 weeks and then went back again for another week. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be able to finance that so quickly. But I think once you've experienced Australian snow conditions, especially shit snow conditions, it just can't compare. Hakuba is perfect for everybody. Families, couples, serious skiers, boarders. It's really got everything there. It's growing. It's getting more popular. So I do see it as probably an area that's going to be more expensive in the future
I think
rather than
everything's going
less.
to be more expensive in the future.
Yeah, but compared to Australia, it is just hands down best bang for buck for your dollars. So, look, ultimately, have you been to Hakuba? If not, why not? What are you waiting for? If you've got any tips on how you would go about snowboarding or skiing in Japan, let us know. But also don't forget and subscribe so you can follow on with our continued stories. Late stories, but we're getting there anyway.
And watch Sean change the names on a few more things.
Yes, because it's fun. Got to do that. All right. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon for more adventures in Japan. Bye.
Bye.